Today, we have something pretty exciting. Sat here on the table is very clearly a Fellow ODE, but this is not the original Fellow ODE, but in fact an updated Gen 2 Fellow ODE that at the time of this video is now available for purchase. I'll have it linked down in the description below. Now, I've been lucky enough to get some early hands-on time with this thanks to Fellow sending me a press unit, which I am really grateful for, but more so I'm grateful for the fact that they've actually listened to a lot of customer feedback and made some really good changes under the hood of this seemingly very similar Gen 2 grinder. The first of which, and the biggest one for me, is that this is no longer a messy grinder. The original ODE seemed to just drop grounds everywhere if you even looked at it funny, and this one does not. They've added in what they've dubbed as an anti-static technology. It must be some kind of an active ionizer, because if you actually hold your ear up to this grinder, you can hear a buzzing that stops a few seconds after grinding. However, whatever technology it is, it genuinely works. And as a byproduct of that, the retention has actually slightly improved as well, even though that's not the main goal of this technology. Take a look at this example when grinding side by side. The new ODE still has a knocker, but it's far less necessary. On the old one, tons of grounds fall out every time you knock, and they seemingly just keep on coming. But the big difference is in the catch cup. Look at how much less chaff and static mess there is on the new version on the right. This was without any RDT. And like I said, if this was the only improvement Fellow made, I would have honestly been pretty happy, but it's not. Quickly running through a few of the smaller changes before we get to the burrs, the hopper capacity has increased by 25% from 80 grams up to 100 grams. The catch cup is still magnetic, but is now slightly larger to match the larger hopper capacity. And the lid fits on far more easily than the older version, which you kind of had to squeeze into place. It uses the same lid, but has different markings on the inside where they have sneakily moved the specified cupping range. And, wait for it, it no longer beeps when you start and stop grinding. Thank you. Grind adjustment is still 31 steps. However, you can now grind much finer thanks to the new Gen 2 burrs. Just take a look at the difference at the finest grind setting between Gen 1 and Gen 2. Apart from being able to simply grind finer, these Gen 2 burrs are a big improvement over the Gen 1 in my opinion. I was never really in love with the profiles I was getting from the original burr set, whether it be due to the limited grinding range or just the burr geometry. Whatever it was, I am enjoying these Gen 2 burrs far more. The cups I am getting are far more balanced. They are giving me good sweetness with still pretty good clarity. It is somewhat reminiscent of the Easy Press OK Max that I just reviewed, but an overall more rounded and kind of mellow representation with some of those nutty and chocolatey notes coming through a little bit more strongly. This is not a clarity monster. Fellow is clearly going for a more balanced approach with this burr set, which for a grinder in this price point is probably a smart move. I really like this new Gen 2 burr set because it means that you no longer feel required or really tempted to upgrade to the more expensive SSP burrs. This Gen 2 burr set is going to be more than good enough for the vast majority of people. You should feel no shame in choosing this option. It really is a strong performer. So, is it worth upgrading to this grinder if you already own the original ODE? And the answer really just comes down to money, because they also sell these Gen 2 burrs on their own. I will also leave those linked down below. So it's up to you to really do the math. If you can sell your old ODE and buy a new one for a smaller price delta, then it is probably worth doing that. If you're shopping new, get the new one. It is bar none a better grinder, a cleaner workflow, and a better tasting burr set. In the end, this Gen 2 grinder I think is really what the ODE should have been right off the bat. This was a highly hyped grinder that had a few small things that I think stopped it from getting recommended all the time. With this new grinder, I really can't think of a reason not to recommend it in this price point. It is an absolute force to be reckoned with. If you want to pick one of these up, I would recommend doing it quickly because they're probably gonna sell out pretty quick. Once again, I will have this grinder linked down in the description below. If you've enjoyed this video, please leave us a like and even consider subscribing if you want to see some more like it in the future. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.